Icebreaker, a beloved exotic of the D1 era, 7 years, 8 years, I don't know, some amount of years later, has returned to Destiny via the Vesper's Host dungeon as the dungeon's exotic. In Destiny 1, this weapon simply regenerated ammo over time, 1 bullet every few seconds. And in certain eras of Destiny 2, actually really most of them, I would have said that this was not an acceptable exotic perk for the game anymore. Hence why Bungie probably did not bring back the weapon however long ago. Bungie seemed like they were done with automatically regenerating ammo on weapons, and they still kind of are. Nowadays, though, with the massive power creep that we have gotten, what Icebreaker ended up getting is arguably better than its D1 counterpart to a degree. Icebreaker's 2 main perks are the following. Kills make targets explode, while precision kills or shattering a frozen target will cause an ignition, and final blows or assists with any other anything have a chance to make ammo for Icebreaker, with more powerful enemies creating more rounds. For example, champion kills can generate 4 shots. However, this includes anything that might happen even while you're holding Icebreaker out. For example, if you're going around freezing enemies and then shooting them with the Icebreaker, the shatter and ignition killing other enemies counts towards the ammo generation, even if Icebreaker is what caused those effects to trigger in the first place. Now, for all the hype of the catalyst acquisition method, it reads as a bit tame. Landing a hit on a slowed or frozen target has a chance to return the round to the magazine. However, in my experience, this chance is 100% with a brief internal cooldown, meaning you can be using this weapon, get a kill on the correct target, and have a potential net gain of ammo, if not break even. Hi, I'm Floating in the Void, and this video is brought to you by Manscaped. The 5.0 razor is cool and all, but sometimes I need an even closer shave for when I'm trying to be pretty 4 days out of the year. And the Chairman Pro package seems right up my alley. What's it come with? I'm glad you asked. Actually, really convenient given the circumstances. You're getting the Chairman Pro electric foil shaver with 360-degree contouring head and 2 swappable skin-safe blade heads, the 4-blade foil for the super close shave, and the stubble trimmer for when you want to still keep some of that beard around. I'd show you the other one, but I only have 2 hands. Here to assist is the Power Shave Gel, made specifically to work with the Chairman Pro, and truth be told, I did not even know we had the technology to make that even work. I've just kind of associated gels and stuff with like a regular razor. Like, we're really living in the future. It's crazy. Then you top it all off with the Face Shave Soother to silence every single pore on your face from screaming after that shave. Oh. Silence. So if you're looking for some peace and quiet from your own face, head on over to manscaped.com/Datto or use code Datto, and you know I'm getting you the 20% off and the free shipping. Lock it in. That's 20% off, free international shipping. I just changed the deal with code Datto, or go to manscaped.com/Datto. Thank you very much to Manscaped for sponsoring this video. What really sets this apart from other snipers is its incredibly slow rate of fire at 49 RPM. Whisper is 72. That's less than 1 shot per second. Where it makes it up, though, is in its incredibly high damage per shot. And initially, when not using the weapon in a testing capacity, I thought I was going to fall in love with this thing because it hit like a truck. Now that I'm actually getting a deeper look at it, though, some cracks are starting to show. I will say that right off the rip, it's basically been forever since we've had a sniper that fires this slowly. I'm pretty used to the pace of a 72, a 90, a 140 RPM sniper, but a 49 RPM sniper, I'm still getting used to that back-to-back shot cadence. A very quick test on this regular Lost Sector boss shows that Icebreaker is doing a little more than double the damage of the Supremacy on a per-shot basis. 2.07 times more damage. But Supremacy shoots at a rate of 2.33 times that of Icebreaker, 140 RPM to Icebreaker's 49. This essentially means that because Icebreaker shoots so slowly, it is probably not going to be as competitive as a boss damage weapon, and that is indeed true. Supremacy's DPS in this example would be about 90,000 to Icebreaker's 65,000. Obviously, this is a very quick example, but Supremacy with fourth times and rewind rounds is one of the snipers to use for sustained damage on a target. Now, that's not to say that you should never use Icebreaker on a boss target, but rather the only times that I would consider Icebreaker for boss damage would be highly specific scenarios, of which I don't even know one at this particular moment other than like GMs. Like, it's good to use if you have nothing else available, you're doing GM, something like that, but otherwise it's not going to be my first pick for boss damage. So let's talk about it now in some high level content, expert, master type stuff. In using it in an expert loss sector, just on its own, I was a bit underwhelmed by the experience after figuring out how much damage it was actually doing on its own. Ideally, this is a weapon to be using on very healthy, big targets because it hits incredibly hard. 1 to 3 shots should take out most bigger non-champion threats. In lost sectors, though, with no extra buffs, it's going to take about 5 to 6 shots to take out champions, and this is expert lost sectors, so leveraging stuff like Radiant is really important. The longer that I had to shoot this thing to kill something, the more I kind of got annoyed by it, especially because I'm pretty used to the cadence of something like Whisper of the Worm, and this weapon does not have that same rhythm, and I'm just not used to it yet. However, with proper rotation of weapons, it shouldn't be too difficult to regenerate your ammo between champions, although this is a case-by-case basis depending on the lost sector. Note that, again, I was only on Expert, and in Master lost sectors, you're going to have considerably more champions to deal with, which might mean less sniper ammo to go around. This is not necessarily a weapon that I would want to make my main champion killing weapon in a solo environment, especially considering the plethora of tools that we have to not only stun, but kill champions. In more target-rich environments or in group content, this is where Icebreaker can shine a bit more, or where you can afford to burn all of your ammo. You have teammates to rely on to help out, and burning all of your ammo isn't as devastating. There also tend to be more enemies that are better fits for Icebreaker. I'm thinking orange bar mid-tier enemies like Vandals, maybe Captains, Wizards, or red bar high-tier enemies, Knights, Ogres, stuff like that. Stuff that'll probably die in 1, if not 2 shots. This is literally what Icebreaker is designed for, popping big enemies in a few shots and then going back to your primary to clean up the rest of it. Now, initially, I didn't really anticipate the stasis part of the weapon to be that enticing, and I just thought of it as a gimmick. But if you build into it, you can get some pretty decent value out of the experience, especially with all of the artifact stuff for Episode 2, although outside of Episode 2, we'll see. A big part of that is, again, the ability to actually gain ammo while actively using Icebreaker by causing shatters and ignitions to kill other enemies, in addition to getting your shot refunded against slowed or frozen targets. In fact, I think using Icebreaker with a stasis loadout is a much more fun and effective way to utilize the weapon, because the experience is more than just shooting Icebreaker. It's trying to trigger as many free shots as possible while also using your stasis kit to its maximum advantage. It fits with a stasis build, but in other subclass setups, maybe besides Solar, it just kind of felt like a gun that you were using in your kit. Just remember the internal cooldown on the Catalyst is somewhat lengthy. I want to say 5 to 8 seconds. You can't push your luck with it too much. Warlocks have new robes, Rhyme Coat Raiment, that basically have built-in refunds, or pretty close to it. You'll have a turret shooting shots at a target, which is going to slow or freeze them, which you can then shoot at and probably insta-give with the shot damage plus the shatter plus ignition. If you want to go with the Osmiomancy Cold Snap route, throw grenade, watch it hit a target, shoot target with Icebreaker, it explodes, find new target, shoot that one. You should be getting quite a large amount of refunds, so you can use the weapon a bit more liberally, but even if you don't, it won't be hard to build up an inventory of shots with either one of these setups. I was really enjoying the Osmiomancy setup in this particular Lost sector, running double special and a machine gun, although I was on double special specifically to have a better time against overload champions. Double special is absolutely something to consider as well in champion content. Hunters with the new helmet are also doing pretty well, although there are 2 caveats. Number one is that the Hunter helmet isn't even working properly right now and won't be working properly until a patch comes to fix it at the end of October this month. But let's just say it is working properly. Number two is that if you're on the new Hunter exotic, you want to be throwing your blades at the frozen targets so that you can proc the exotic, not necessarily shooting an icebreaker at said frozen target. Obviously, it's not going to kill you if you shoot a frozen target instead of using your melee. I'm just saying that the two are a little at odds with each other. They're both fighting for the same thing, and you can only do one of them at a time. Mid-tier content with champions with this setup was hit or miss. I think Mask of Fealty needs a bit more going on in terms of enemy density to see the greatest value from both the build and Icebreaker itself. That's not to say that it's bad, though, and in something like Onslaught, you're going to be just fine. For Titans, I tried using the Icefall Mantle build that I showcased earlier this episode, and a big problem was that if I was using Glacial Grenades, a lot of the time I wouldn't be able to see my target because they'd be obfuscated by the grenade, so it takes some precise throwing to make that work. Or, you know, just make the swap to Cold Snaps and call it a day. Of course, you can run up to an enemy and hit him with your class ability, but if we're sniping, we're maybe not always in position to make that happen. Instead, I look to the generation of Diamond Lances as our freezing battery, throwing a lance at a big target and then sniping them in the face to restore ammo and get our triple crown of Sniper Shot, Shatter, and Ignition. Lance Cap does have some specific conditions to hit that might not be very appealing in lower end content, namely having to stand behind a rally barricade, but the more difficult content gets, the easier it can be to justify standing behind that rally. Icefall Mantle still might be the better overall play though, depending on your playstyle. I don't like standing behind a barricade in something like Expert Onslaught. I would rather be moving around, especially even in stuff like Expert or Master Law sectors, but in a GM, that's a bit of a different story. Overall, Icebreaker is more of a good sniper than it is a bad sniper. If anything, it is something that makes sniping a little fun again in non-boss damage roles. It hits super hard, it makes things explode, and this episode especially can enable some fun alternative stasis setups to revolve around its use. Do I think it's a god tier weapon? No, not really. But I'll definitely be playing around with it in some Onslaught, maybe try it out in some GMs when those are out, and I will take it from there. Let me know how you're feeling about Icebreaker now that it's in D2. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.